So last week we had our first question of the week, a weekly series where we're going to ask you a question and we want to hear your responses to that question. Last week's question was this: should Apple develop a dedicated gaming controller? And we had tons of responses. I really thank you guys for responding to that question with such insightful posts. So we're going to share a few of those here. And the first one is this one from Humad Aman. He says, bad idea for iOS, but a good idea for the Apple TV. If the Apple TV got an app store, you get to play games on the big screen. Well, yes, that is my point. Really, I think it would be great to have across all devices if you have a Bluetooth controller, but especially the Apple TV. I mean, that it's just made for gaming. Apple has this gaming device in everyone's living room already. They just need to tap into it and create apps or games that you can download and use your wireless controller that they create, a wireless Bluetooth controller that connects to the Apple TV. And by that means you can control all the games on the big screen. So next question is from CD Zula 4799. He says, I want them to, but they won't. Not a big enough market for it. Well, I have to disagree with that one, CD Zula. There is a huge iOS gaming market potentially on tap for that wireless controller. I think that there's definitely enough install base. I mean, there's millions of Apple TVs in homes. There's millions of iOS devices in general. So the market is there for sure. Now, whether or not there will be lag with the controller, that is a question. But if they're using Bluetooth, there should be no lag. I mean, the PS3 is doing it, Xbox is doing it. So I don't think lag would be an issue. If they do sell it, and let's say it's priced at $50, which is an all right price in my opinion, there would be no chance of it doing better than the Apple TV, and it would be priced less. Apple, in my opinion, has been making more luxury items, higher-end products, and the most valuable company in the world would not waste their time. Well, that may be true. They might not waste their time, but I certainly don't think it would be a waste of time. I think that if Apple really put their mind to this, they could make an incredible controller and that they would just completely dominate the gaming industry, or they have the potential to dominate a big portion of the industry. Obviously, you're still going to have your hardcore gamers that will only play the Xbox or, the PS4, the Xbox 720, but the potential is there to eat into the market a bit, and more so to take more of Nintendo's share more than anything else. So we'll see what happens. Next question is from, this one's a difficult one. Houytre, Hoytre? I'm sorry. Definitely not. Gaming controllers are becoming more and more useless now. We can almost control everything wirelessly. I'm assuming you're talking about the connector. Is that what you mean by wireless? And his whole point here is that why would Apple make a product that you have to, why adds another accessory that you have to have with you at all times? Well, you don't have to have it, but it will be a good option, especially for Apple TV owners. I mean, they're not forcing you to have a controller, but just the option to have it would be nice. To be able to have better control in your games, especially when you're playing on the big screen, would be excellent in my opinion. But again, you make a good point. Apple probably doesn't want to have an extra item like the whole stylus argument. So yeah, you definitely make a good point. Next question is from iPod Step by Step. Great idea. However, there would have to be no lag at all, which isn't possible when connecting over cellular data and slower Wi-Fi connections. The only other problem I see is controller-only apps. If Apple could avoid this, phenomenal idea. Well, that's a good point. The lag, though, I don't think that's an issue with Bluetooth. So that's what we're talking about here. I'm not necessarily talking about connecting over Wi-Fi or cellular. Bluetooth only. So Bluetooth only. That's the only thing I'm talking about here. Wi-Fi or cellular will be way too laggy. And I think that if they were going to do this, they would definitely choose Bluetooth and not some other option for connecting. Just think about the new Bluetooth sharing option in iOS 6. That presents a whole new range of ideas that could come to fruition with a controller using Bluetooth sharing. So the options here are just really limitless when it comes to this. Okay, let's take two more questions. This one's a long one from AP3604 from iDownloadBlog. Great post, very insightful. Apple should definitely develop a dedicated controller for the iPhone for the following reasons: market potential, customer attraction, and accessory profits. Quality gaming is a huge market that could be tapped by having this option if they just had a simple Bluetooth controller for developers to be united by in iOS's SDK. Right now, the App Store game market is dominated by kiddie-type touchscreen games for 99 cents, such as Angry Birds, Where's My Water, Cut the Rope, etc. But if they were to develop a dedicated controller, you could open up the market for higher quality games since developers could charge more and people would pay for the higher quality gaming experience. Very good, insightful post. And I think that's true. This isn't to say that Apple should force users to, or developers should force users to use a controller, but just to have the option of having higher quality games that you could have higher quality control would be amazing. And we already have all the devices, you already own them. So really, the investment isn't that much. I mean, for a $50 controller, if they were able to do this, I think the rewards will be great for Apple and for gamers. It would be great for both the end users and for Apple. And parents will be happy as well because they don't have to buy another Xbox or a Nintendo Wii. They already have the gaming device right there. All they need is the extra controller. So I think you guys should head over to IDB and read that post. It's very insightful. And our final response is from Alexander. He says that Apple would not have a good chance at doing this because, number one, no one uses the current third-party options. And then number two, it would probably be expensive. And Apple has already perfected mobile gaming control. Well, I disagree that they perfected. Have you ever really tried to control a game where it needed precise control on the touchscreen? There's no force, there's no, tactile feedback. You can't really feel where your hands are on the screen. So you always have to kind of keep one eye on the buttons and another eye on what's going on the screen. With the controller, that's no longer a problem. So I think it would definitely make control better. I don't think they've perfected mobile gaming control. While there are some definite, innovations because of the touchscreen capability, I still think there's room available for both, the touchscreen games and for controller-based games to exist. And I think the reason why people haven't adopted these third-party controllers is because most of them are terrible. If Apple developed something like this, number one, it would be supported by many more developers, so you would have that out of the way. And number two, the build quality would be amazing. Can you imagine, an aluminum controller from Apple? It would be great. Okay, so now let's ask this week's question. How do you feel about the removal of the stock YouTube app in iOS 6? Are you upset about that? Are you going to miss the YouTube app once iOS 6 launches? Are you happy about it? Did you ever use the YouTube app before? Do you currently use it? What's your relationship with the YouTube app? How do you feel about this? Personally, I am ecstatic that Apple has gotten rid of the YouTube app because it was terrible. No one uses that I know, and I certainly didn't use it. I'm glad to see it go, free up another spot, another stock app that can go bye-bye. Of course, we have like Passbook now, so other stock app icons are now appearing on the home screen. It's nice to get rid of one, especially one that we don't use. And this opens up the door for Google to create their own YouTube app, which will be likely light years ahead of this one. So I'm looking forward to it wholeheartedly. But what about you? What do you think about Apple's removal of the stock YouTube app in iOS 6? Let me know what you think. And again, next week we'll be back. We'll post your responses, post some of the better responses that we received. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say about this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This is Jeff with iDownload Blog.